Happy Halloween, everyone.
Ah!
That's right. We're recording this on Halloween, October 31st.
That's right.
I am not SAG approved, unfortunately.
We're also not part of the union. So.
We're not part of the union. I bought this before that announcement came out. And yeah, I'm obviously a chef from the Bear. And then we have, who do we have here?
Well, I'm James Caan in bed from misery before. Well, actually, my ankles are broken right now. They're off screen, but
off screen? Can't tell.
Just imagine they're broken in half.
I think you look better than James Caan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, we're talking about Twilight. We're gonna rank all of them, right?
We're gonna rank all the Twilight movies.
But you know what I was thinking? There's a lot of Twihards downstairs in the office. So let's go ahead and let's gauge their opinion first before we start ranking.
Hey, let's send it to us downstairs. Thanks, guys. There's just so much. There's so much to talk about with some of these Twilight movies. So we found the real Twihards here, and we're gonna ask them about their favorite parts, what team they're on. So let's go, Loka. First of all, what team are you?
Oh, the only team is Team Edward.
Okay.
That's
No Team Jacob.
Jacob is a child, and he's too whiny.
And Edward's a man.
He's a 17-year-old man for a long time. But yes.
How long have you been 17?
A while.
What's your favorite of all the movies? What's your favorite movie?
I think they got worse over time. So I think the first one is my favorite. It came out when I was like a senior in high school, and it is very special to me because we were all obsessed. At that time, we were all obsessed. And it has its own like distinct style, and it sets everything up. So I'm going to say 1 because I think they just get not good.
Can you give us your best Southern Jasper impersonation?
Battle scars. That's what he has. He has
Battle scars.
From the war.
Are you a Twilight fan?
Yeah, for sure.
What team are you?
Team Jacob.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Why is that?
He's hot. It's Taylor Lautner. Love him.
I don't even know what to say to that anymore.
That's my reason.
What?
Curveball.
Yeah.
That's my reason.
Loka,
Yeah.
like.
Where the hell have you been, Loka?
What
line in the series.
What of all the movies? What's your favorite?
Never thought about that. What's yours?
I mean, Eclipse, but
Oh, what's the one where they have the big fight? That's not real.
Breaking Dawn Part 2.
That's my favorite.
Is that also because you like that because Jacob just strips down in front of Charlie?
No, because I remember being in the theater and I was like, what? And my mom had read the book and so did my friend that came with us. So they knew and I didn't. So core memory right there.
Are you a Twilight fan?
Yeah. I would say a moderate.
Did you see all of them in theaters?
Half of them in theaters, and I tried to read the first book, but then they started coming out in theaters, and I just went that route.
Who needs the books? Are you Team Edward, Team Jacob?
I am Team Jacob.
Sorry, wow, we have a lot of Team Jacobs here that I did not know about.
It's the clear choice. I mean, first of all, you can compare the two actors, right? And I would just pick Taylor Lautner.
Wow, there's a lot of hot takes happening here.
But also, like, Taylor Lautner is the bigger person, or Jacob is the bigger person in the film. Like, Edward's just like super
Like size-wise
jealous.
because of he's a giant wolf.
Well, that, but not even that. Like, in the end, I mean, it's a little weird, but he does the thing where like he imprints on the daughter to save them from other wolves. So you like
that's not a choice, okay?
Right, that's what I'm saying. But like Edward the whole time was just like grumpy and super jealous and like, not super.
And what better way to get back at the guy who stole your girl than to steal his daughter? Am I right?
No, see, that's what's wrong with it. I'm not fist bumping that.
Keyshawn, have you seen Twilight?
No, but over the past 2 days, my wife was watching all of them, so I kind of secondhandly, watched them.
And would you say your Team Edward, Team Jacob?
Whoever the vampire is, because they got style and money.
There you go. Hey, nothing wrong with that. You've seen Twilight, right?
I have a bunch of times.
Yeah. Have you read the books?
Yes.
Okay. Are you Team Edward or Team Jacob?
Team Edward.
Actually, you don't have to be one of those two. You can pick another one.
what if I want to keep my answer the same?
Team Edward?
For sure.
Okay. What's your favorite in the franchise, like favorite movie?
Oh, probably the last Breaking Dawn, because the movie was so chaotic and I saw it like premiere night and everyone was just, the energy was, I'll never forget.
Would you say that you're born to be a vampire?
Was I born to be a vampire?
Yeah.
No, because I'm human.
They didn't stop Bella. Just a question. How old were you when the first Twilight movie came out? 2008.
Oh my gosh. I was in 5th grade. Whatever age you are in 5th grade.
Did you see them in theaters?
No, I didn't.
Probably for the best. Did you see any of them in theaters?
I don't think I did, actually.
Did you read the books?
No.
Are you a fan?
Yes, I'm a fan.
Okay. Are you Team Edward, Team Jacob?
Jacob.
Wow, why is that?
He's prettier.
There's a lot of love for Jacob in this room. Yeah. Okay. Do you have like a favorite movie?
Out of all of them, I would say Eclipse.
That's right. Eclipse is
It's a good one.
It's the best one. Yeah, it's the best made one. Wow, a lot of. Wait, have you seen Twilight? Okay, well, never mind. Well, guys, a lot of interesting things happened here today. A lot more Team Jacob than we thought, but you know what? I guess we'll forgive them. And we're just. This is very impressive, but you know what's not impressive? Some of these movies. And so I'm going to send it back to you guys.
That was fun, wasn't it?
That was, by definition, fun.
Yeah, that's a remote, as we like to call.
Yeah, a little sneak behind the curtain, you know?
Yeah. Turns out they all like Twilight.
Yeah, you know, but I think with now 50, why are we doing this?
Well, we're doing this because we kind of want to punish ourselves this year.
We thought we've been pretty bad this year.
For context, I've not watched any of them until this last week.
Yeah.
You saw 3 of them.
I saw 3 of them, and Twilight, the original, 15 years ago this year.
In the theater?
In the theater, yeah.
Nice.
I think I was like late. I think I was like January. You know, I think it came out like November, and everyone was like, ooh, and me and my friend were like, wouldn't it be funny if we saw Twilight, you know, during Christmas break? And I think that's when we saw it. And then, you know, as jokes do, they keep going, and then you go see the second one, and then to make it really funny, you do it a third time. But then after that, you're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I actually went to a midnight showing of Eclipse with a massive group of people.
I'm sorry.
It's just weird. I don't know why I did it.
But yeah.
It wasn't funny.
No, it wasn't.
No one thought I was there as a joke.
They thought you actually liked the movie.
But you know those things that you're like,
but at least you're glad you did it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The original reason I didn't watch it because I was very much a Blade head. And I heard about the sparkling vampires, and I was like, well, I'm not watching that.
You were like online, you're like, oh, gosh, Blade would totally destroy these sparkly vampires.
As most dude bros back then thought about Twilight. But as time has gone on, I've heard about...
You've grown and matured.
I've matured, yes. As time went on, I realized and learned that Twilights are so bad they're good.
Yeah.
And turns out, yes, some of them are. So I think we should start chronological.
Okay.
Rank these. This is a tier list video.
We've done a lot of those.
We've done a couple. We've done a lot.
We have enough to make our own tier list of our tier list videos.
Exactly, yes. So we're going to start with Twilight, 2008. Mm-hmm. And these all came out year after year.
No.
They didn't?
No, I think so. The first 3 did. Oh, maybe they did.
I think they did, yeah.
Wow.
Because the last one comes out the same year as the Avengers and Dark Knight Rises.
That's incredible that like you have a franchise that every year had like, I mean, and not just like Lord of the Rings having, you know, because they made those all together.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
these ones they just consecutively shot them.
Different directors?
Yeah. Twilight, 2008, directed by Catherine Hardwicke. You know the people. Kristen Stewart. I was about to say Edwards.
Well, he is.
Robert Pattinson, Kellen Lutz, a bunch of like...
You can't name all of them?
No.
Jackson Rathbone, Ashley Greene, Nikki Reed, Peter Facinelli. Is that how you say his name?
Sure.
Yeah.
Billy Burke.
Billy Burke.
Is that his name? Billy
Burke, yeah.
It's a B.
Oh, you know who you're forgetting? Taylor Lautner.
Taylor Lautner. I wish I could forget his
Yeah.
acting in this movie.
And you also have, shout out to Anna Kendrick.
Yes, Anna
Who
Kendrick is in all of them.
So low build,
Yeah.
and that she pretty much becomes super famous in the time these movies all come out.
The first movie is straight up a vampire gets horny when Bella, Kristen Stewart, walks in the room, and then he disappears and she is infatuated with him because it is 2008, and that's how every romance on movies was.
Do you think that it was that he's a vampire or that he was pretty much a hipster?
I think his reaction to her was like, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, you stink.
Because when it cuts to him, he's got the wind blowing.
Yeah.
They have the oscillating fan to explain why the wind's blowing, and he's just, he has a moment in his seat that is very clearly that, and so I think she's like wants to. It's like that. The aloof guy,
Listen, but also you're forgetting that she moves she moves to Fort Washington.
Yes, true. But that's
and she is new in town.
Yeah.
And she's awkward, which Kristen plays wonderfully.
I mean, that was her shtick for a while.
I think that we got to get out of the way. Everyone wants to bash on Robert and Kristen, who are two incredible actors.
But
they know what they're doing.
Yes.
It's like that's the thing. Is like the whole thing is like, oh, Bella's insufferable and she's just so awkward and cringe. And it's like, yeah, that's what she's supposed to be.
That's the whole movie.
Yeah.
Kristen and Robert play it as everyone should play it, which is, this is not a great script. This is not a great movie.
Yeah.
And they are playing it like that. Meanwhile, you have Kellen Lutz, who barely says anything in this one. But he's just smiling the whole time.
He knows exactly what he's in.
But also you have Taylor Lautner in perhaps the worst wig I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
And it's
the second one I think gets worse.
And it's not the worst one. It is what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
It's bad. But the way the cinematographer and Catherine Hardwicke shoot this movie is like they're going for a home run.
Yeah.
They're shooting it like
a vampire home run.
Yeah.
Like a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
Home run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they are going like they want to win the Oscars. Like they are doing all kinds of crazy camera movements in this. They got push zooms, dolly zooms. They got like drone shots.
Yeah.
They got like they're pulling out all of the stunts. For
everything's like weirdly washed out, but also very colorful at the same time.
The editing is really crazy in this one. When she gets bitten. Yeah. That scene is crazy. It's like it's a well-made bad movie.
Yeah. And the soundtrack, I mean, is just it's a great soundtrack. It really encompasses like what was it when someone's like, what was it like to be a teenager in 2008? It was, I mean, not like that experience, like not like vampires.
It was the Twilight movie soundtrack.
It was like, Iron and Wine, a little
Paramore,
a little Muse,
just all Radiohead, all over
Radiohead, like a little Robert Pattinson sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where are we gonna put this on the list? Where do you think?
I mean, I guess the safest spot maybe like a C.
I think, C's good.
C's good.
Because it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
But you can admit that it's not a good movie.
This is the only one that makes me feel this way, but like there is something about watching this that immediately takes you back to that, and maybe not for you, but like
because I didn't watch it.
I watched it. I can every time I watch this movie, I rewatch it, I'm immediately taken back to that empty movie theater in January. And just remembering the moment that Iron and Wine song comes on and just being like, we will hear this song everywhere for at least the next couple of years, if not forever. So
for New Moon, they get a new director, Chris Weitz, and it's bad. It's perhaps
this is
the
like
worst
my
one.
least favorite.
Yes.
One. Yeah.
They changed the color tones of it. There's no crazy camera movements. It's very much cookie cutter romance thriller. This is where Dakota Fanning and Michael Sheen show up as the Volturi. And I, previously not having watched this, I thought Michael Sheen and Dakota Fanning were in the entire series. No, Dakota shows up for 4 or 3.
She's in 2, 3, and 5.
Yes, she's a little bit in 4, but not really.
Barely, yeah. And then Sheen is just in 2. He's in 2 and 5.
New Moon is just like where the love triangle starts.
Yeah.
and it's bad.
Yeah.
There's a scene, I don't know if they shot in real rain, but there's a scene where
No way, that's real rain.
Bella confronts Jacob and
Yeah,
he's
that's
shirtless. This whole movie is contingent upon Taylor Lautner expressing like conflicted emotions.
Yeah.
And he is just stone-faced the whole
He just
entire
looks like
time.
he's holding a fart most of the time.
Yes. And I don't want to bash the guy, but he cannot act in this movie.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice guy.
Yes.
Who has learned his strengths. And
Which is comedy.
Which is comedy. And not this. And this movie doesn't even feel that long because there's just not much that happens.
No.
All of a sudden you're like, wait, are we at the end? I feel like I haven't, like, you don't, the only Cullens you really see for more than one scene is Alice and Edward. And that's the beginning and the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is so much Jacob and Bella, and it is not fun.
Not fun. I read after I watched all the movies, I was reading up on the Wikipedia that Stephanie had only planned Twilight and Breaking Dawn. And then the book publishers were like, well, we need a little bit more.
Yeah.
So New Moon and Eclipse are basically just her just stretching her idea thin. But you know what? I think it's still a C.
Okay. Fair.
And then we get Eclipse, which is directed by David Slade, who did 30 Days at Night.
Technically,
yes,
the best one.
Yes.
It looks the best. Mm-hmm. It's edited the best.
The dialogue's not too bad.
It's not too bad. It has a very beginning, middle, and end. Mm-hmm. And the franchise as a whole, you're like, it's a little random that it feels very much like Prisoner of Azkaban.
So they start basically a vampire army to take on the Cullens.
Victoria does. Who is upset.
Yes.
Because they killed James.
And Victoria person gets replaced by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
Who goes on to become even bigger.
Yeah.
Seems to be a Twilight problem is you cast these actors and actresses in smaller roles and then they blow up.
Yeah.
But her character dies at the end of this movie.
You've introduced the Volturi. You think they're going to be the big bad for most of it.
Yeah.
But then you immediately go back to Victoria and her like revenge story.
Yes.
And that's such a huge part of like that. It is the third movie, and she's like doing some pretty gnarly things to like get them. And there's a big battle, and then she's dead, and you're like, oh, we're done. It deals with this is where we get like the triangle thing coming to a head, which is nice that we kind of wrap it up before we get to the last two.
Yes.
Where there's still like hints of it, but it's not like, ooh, who's she gonna choose? Like it's clear that, but like there is the fun, as dumb as it is, the whole like tent thing.
The tent scene, on the
edge of your seat.
On edge of my seat, yes. Edge of my tent. Went in, no idea what's happening in any of these movies. I thought it was going to be more action, it's more romance. I should have known that.
Yeah.
But when they got to the tent scene, I thought for sure Jacob and Edward were going to have a moment. I thought they were going to kiss.
Oh, it's not even like a bro moment,
it very much felt like Edward was flirting with Jacob.
I think, yeah.
And I wonder if
he was.
Robert was trying to play it that way, but they obviously couldn't do it.
But like Taylor wasn't.
No.
But he's so bad that it like comes off of maybe he was.
Yeah,
man, that's so funny.
So I thought the love triangle was going to turn into sort of like
a circle.
A circle.
Now this also has the before we move on, the most insane plot point of. For two movies, we hear like Jasper say like a couple things.
Oh God!
And then like it turns out, hey, he's actually a Southern gentleman from Texas.
A whole backstory.
Who used to fight for the Confederate Army. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
And he's one of the good guys. I'm sure in the books they probably make it a little more complicated. I'm not sure if
they do.
Well, apparently Carlisle is more complicated in the books.
Yes.
It's just. To make him a Confederate soldier,
it's a choice.
Is a choice, and it's interesting.
Yeah, but also then like for the rest of the movie, he's like Bella.
His southern accent comes out of nowhere.
We need an army,
and then he doesn't.
What?
Yeah,
and I love Alice.
So where do we place this one? You know, we got, just for context, we got 2 at C.
Is there a little more room on C?
Always more room on C.
Let's do C.
See it up. All right, so then we get Breaking Dawn, Part 1.
Yeah. which neither of us had seen. This is where Eclipse is where I stopped watching.
Yes.
So we went into both of these.
And we get the wedding.
Did you think the wedding was going to be like later in the movie?
No, I thought it was just going to be the 15 minutes opening and then done.
Oh, I was for sure like, is maybe 30 to 40 minutes of this them planning the wedding and like maybe trying to figure out how they're going to tell Billy Burke and and no, it is like wedding time, and I'm like,
half the movie's the wedding and half the movie is the honeymoon, and the sex. I can see why 50 Shades of Grey was inspired by Breaking Dawn. Yeah, because they basically do some BDSM very light, and then 50 Shades of Grey is like light but a little spicier,
but a little grayer.
Sorry. I don't know how to feel about this one because it definitely captures the essence of the first one. Yeah. The camera works a little bit better. The editing's a little better. But everything that they do in this movie, up until she starts drinking out of the styrofoam cup, is just... Where do they get it from? I just want to know where they get the styrofoam. Do they go down to the gas station, the convenience store, and go get a cup? Hey, we have some stuff.
Hey, we don't eat, we don't drink, but I've got some styrofoam cups.
And then her line delivery, she drinks the blood out of the styrofoam cup. She's like, "It tastes good."
Ooh. If you're here for vampires,
you're gone.
This one is not for you until the end.
There's barely any vampire stuff in this whole entire series.
Like Infinity War is supposed to be like, this is all of our heroes coming together. Yes. It's like that, but like, hey, you've been waiting for 3 years, for so long to see them get married and do more in love stuff. And if you're just not on board with that, or you're just like, you're not like not that you're not on board, but if you're not like into that or like captivated by that, you just don't care. Then all of a sudden it's like Jacob doesn't want to leave Bella because she's pregnant. She's preggers with a half vampire.
And they've previously introduced imprinting in Eclipse, I think it was.
No, but that's
or New Moon.
New Moon. Yeah. But that's later. But so it's like all of a sudden, like now the werewolves are the bad guys again, like Sam and his pack.
Well, because they think the whole idea is that once she turns, that means that they violated the truce treaty between the werewolves and the vampires.
But also, I think that if there was a baby, I guess like a baby vampire is scarier than a regular vampire.
Which they explain in the Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Which is...
but they don't explain it in this.
There. And so it's like... And I guess like it's like it's very confusing. So like they're kind of the bad guys for about 20 minutes, which is interesting. Yeah. But you're like... I'm sorry, why is this? You've fought with these guys, you've talked to these guys, and they've been very nice to you, and you don't stop and you think maybe they're going to try to be a little bit responsible.
And the werewolves are not fleshed out at all in the entire series. No, they were there to service the plot only, and it kind of sucks.
Look shredded.
So
then it ends, and she has a baby, and then Jacob
imprints at the very last.
And then that kind of protects them. It's weird, and they even talk about how weird it is, and. I mean, I guess
the whole everyone's relationship.
You know what redeems it? You know what redeems it a little bit is that's what saves the family. Yeah. That like it's weird that he's imprinted on a child, but also that move, that whatever,
that gambit.
That I don't even know. Like he says, I can't help it. It's just that like okay, now the werewolves will always.
Yes, they're forced to. Through this whole series, I felt like, this is what the significant other / partner of somebody getting dragged to a Marvel movie feels like. Yeah. Because I have no connection to any of it whatsoever, and I'm not interested in ever learning anything more about it. Yeah. But I did like watching this one.
It's okay.
So I think we put it C as well.
I can agree with that.
Okay. And so now we get to Breaking Dawn Part 2, the end. The Volturi come back.
Can I ask you something? Were you a little like jazzed to start it? Like when you were like, ooh, like 1 you're almost done, 2 you're like, but I'm excited to see how it ends.
I was very excited to see how it ends. Yeah. Just because this one, plot-wise, I think actually ties everything up really well. Yeah. I think it is actually a good ending to the series because it captures the spirit of the first. Taylor Lautner actually just does comedy the whole movie.
Yeah.
So he's
It's tell war stories.
Yeah, so
What?
he's not actually bad acting in this one. Edward is very much just like having a blast until they get to the fight at the end. Bella has the greatest line in the whole series. Jacob is like saying, he's like talking about Renesmee, the baby.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the baby in a second. And he's like, well, you know, Nessie. And she's like, you nicknamed my baby after the Loch Ness Monster? The way Kristen Stewart delivers that line.
The Loch Ness Monster! Again, not a lot happens.
For the first hour, nothing.
No, really the whole movie. When you think the whole movie is them...
Well, it's a lot of standing. A lot of the series is standing.
But it's a lot of like, okay, oh no, Maggie Grace sees Renesmee and doesn't think immediately, man, that is the creepiest, scariest looking child I've ever seen. There's one of two things that they're doing. Yeah. They are either de-aging Mackenzie Foy's face onto the baby, and that's why they're doing that for so long, or they are, like they have Mackenzie Foy. I think it's that one, but I think maybe there was also talk of that is Robert and Kristen's faces. But
and
like,
when it's a baby, yes.
When it's a baby and they are like de-aging it and putting it on the baby. Yeah. And I'm like, that's terrifying. Yeah. Please don't do that ever again.
It just confuses me because when they finally switch to the real kid, they could have just shot with forced perspective to make her look a little bit smaller.
And also, like, I've seen Mackenzie Foy. Like, this is maybe a year before Conjuring. Yeah. And it's like, they seem like they're still doing a little bit of weird stuff to her face.
Well, she has a long forehead.
She has a very long forehead. That's what I'm talking about. She has a very long forehead.
But then it slowly shrinks. And it becomes normal.
The Volturi find out, and it's more like they want Alice, but Alice has disappeared. So much is going on. They're like, we need to get witnesses. Yes. That's a fight. But just to say, hey, this is not a...
You need to bear witness that this is not what they say it is. Yeah. Which is a kid vampire can basically... Muck it all up.
So they go and they get a bunch of people, including Rami Malek and Lee Pace, who, honestly, please just give me a movie of him.
Yeah. And this also introduces some insane powers. In the first Twilight, some vampires have special powers. Yeah. For example, Edward can read thoughts. Alice can basically predict the future.
Yeah. But not everyone has powers.
No. And Bella... No one can use their powers on Bella. Yeah. Then we come to this. Rami Malek is just controlling water when we first see him.
Yep. And there's a woman who has electricity powers.
But it's light. It's like a little light. Yeah. A little shock.
And then...
But we know the Volturi also have powers.
Yeah. Oh, and there's like also some like indigenous vampires who can...
from the rainforest.
Who can like block what people see, or they can like change what you're seeing. Man. Wild.
And they introduce all this. Then we get to the big fight. Yeah. Michael Sheen's like, let me read, because he can basically read everyone's memories.
Alice shows back up.
Well, before that, he reads he reads Edward's memory, and he's like, okay. You think he's going to be like, well, you know, they didn't lie to us. But then he's like, well, actually, I still want some powers. I want to steal some of you guys.
They kill Maggie Grace.
And then Alice shows back up, shows everything. They have this huge fight. Yeah. Crazy. Everyone's dying. I was like, man, they're actually killing people off. This is sick.
And you didn't know. I knew. Yeah.
I didn't know. And then it cuts to him, Michael Sheen's character. He's like, Arlo. He's like, oh, that's bad because I die. Yeah. And so he's like, well, we can't do that. But they do have a little wiggle room for a little sequel if they ever try.
It is weird that we have not had one. Yeah. That there have not been any like
10 years.
There's not even been like whispers of like, because especially nowadays, when everyone's going back to their franchises, like, is there a world? Do you think? Is there? Where should we put this before I ask?
You know, knowing that we put them all at sea.
Yeah. Should we put this one?
Let's see as well.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. I'm glad we agree.
I think the reason why is the same reason we never got more Game of Thrones, because George R.R. Martin just cannot finish a book. Stephanie Meyer has not written a new Twilight book other than the one that's perspective of Edward.
Do you think there's a world where Pattinson and Stewart and Kellen, I'm sure he's just hanging out waiting for the call, where they come back and it's like
the guy who plays Carlisle. He's not in much these days.
He's just waiting for this and the Can't Hardly Wait sequel. And do you think that they would do it? And it's like they have to take down the Volturi. Because that's the whole thing. Is like you have this introduction of Noel Fisher. He's a character where he's like where they're like legit old school.
And
like
now he's a big actor.
But you have like they're like very like Transylvanian like vampires, and they're just like, we want to kill the Volturi, and they're a little mad at the end. And they're like, oh great, I thought that we were killing the Volturi, and I was like, yeah, me too. But then, is there a world where you bring everyone back and it's like, okay, now it's time to take down the Volturi?
I think so. Yes.
I think a lot of those actors, they've tried so hard to separate themselves. Do you think that Pattinson and Stewart? It's Pattinson and Stewart who have, but
I think once they sign on, everyone else will sign on.
Yeah.
Because Michael Sheen loves to have a good time acting.
100%.
All of his roles, like you think of Underworld and this, and even Good Omens. He just likes having a good time on screen. I will say, if they do a new trilogy or anything or any movie, there's no way that the werewolves are going to be involved because they have to go to Europe.
Yeah. Jacob can be involved, but
yeah,
you know, as we wrap up, I think we didn't talk enough about Charlie, which is a crime. If really anything, I would say I'm Team Charlie.
The craziest. We're not even gonna Team Charlie all the way. Yeah, it's not even
a question.
Also, we cannot leave without mentioning that this whole series is like basically the idea of like a teenager becoming an adult and having to make mistakes.
Yeah.
As a parent, you can't try to force the kid to do the right thing. They have to go through these mistakes. And that's Bella's journey. It's like she has, even though she wants this thing, which is marrying Edward and becoming a vampire, and she succeeds at that, at what cost?
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but she was born to be a vampire. That's what she says.
I wish they would have explored that angle more. That's what I was hoping for the series.
They got kiss.
They kiss.
They do kissies and
they have a little sex.
Yeah, at the end.
A lot. Kellen Lutz was happy about it. But anyways, thank you. We did this for you, so you don't have to.
I'm just glad it's over.